She just sneezed, and that's how she gave birth. But when the doctor saw the baby, he was shocked. This little guy, born so quickly, was only the size of a fist. The doctor predicted he wouldn't survive the night. The father originally intended to wait until the next day to properly handle the funeral arrangements. Unexpectedly, he not only miraculously survived the critical period, but also stubbornly grew to the age of 12. However, due to congenital developmental issues, he was not only small in stature and unattractive, but also had severe myopia. Everywhere he went, people laughed at him.
Wentworth bastard and his granite mouth.
But what crushed Simon the most wasn't the mockery of strangers. It was the bullying from his classmates. They would toss him around like a beach ball, passing him in the air from one to another. Simon's cries didn't earn him any sympathy from the teacher, but instead, he was scolded for disrupting the class. He thought this humiliating life would never end. But this little boy, whose dignity had been so wantonly trampled upon, would soon become a hero revered by everyone. Simon's only friend was Joe. He was the most handsome guy in class. He never made fun of Simon for his flaws, and instead treated him like his best brother. Whenever they had free time, Joe would ride his modified bike, taking Simon around to explore. Their favorite place was the clear lake in the outskirts. Simon loved diving underwater, holding his breath. Joe would stand by, carefully timing him. While they were practicing holding their breath by the lake, they noticed two girls rowing by. They started talking to Joe. Joe got distracted and forgot Simon was still holding his breath underwater. When Simon finally surfaced, struggling for air, Joe realized his mistake. To cheer Simon up, Joe lied, saying he had broken a record. Simon happily turned around, but then froze. The girls in the boat were the ones he had a secret crush on. His heart raced. He secretly told Joe this secret, but to his surprise, Joe immediately wanted to help him convey his feelings. In a panic, Simon covered Joe's mouth. Their actions made the girls confused, but she didn't ask any more questions and left quietly. Once on land, Joe couldn't resist asking him about it.
She said you were cute.
She means cute like a baby turtle is cute. Girls don't kiss baby turtles.
Though Simon was a little disappointed, he soon regained his usual optimism. He believed that God must have a special mission for him since he was created this way. Joe, though not religious, never criticized Simon's faith. He was proud of Simon for having such strong belief. But Simon didn't expect that his special mission would unfold at a huge cost. Joe grew up in a single-parent family, but his mother, Rebecca, never revealed who his father was. This left Joe puzzled for years. Rebecca was always kind to Simon. Because of his physical condition, Simon's biological parents had always treated him coldly, but Rebecca respected him. When the weather started to cool, she would knit him a sweater. Even though it wasn't perfectly made, to Simon, it was more precious than any expensive gift. Whenever Simon was ridiculed by others,
Look at this kid. It's the friggin' Hobbit. Nah, it's Thumbelina.
Rebecca's encouraging words always helped him regain his confidence.
Do your thing, Simon. Show him how it's done.
This love made Simon feel for the first time what it was like to have a mother's care, but he never expected that he would end up destroying this protection with his own hands. This tragic accident happened during a baseball game. Simon hit the most powerful ball of his life, as everyone expected the ball to hit the ground and score. But Rebecca happened to be passing by the baseball field. Unprepared, she was hit in the head by the ball and fell to the ground. No one expected that this blow would take her life. Shocked and filled with guilt, Simon didn't know what to do. He never imagined he would be the one to take away the person he loved most.
I'm sorry.
At Rebecca's funeral, he couldn't look Joe in the eye. He quietly left his most precious baseball card for Joe. Joe knew the pain Simon was going through. Though he was heartbroken, he understood Simon's helplessness. Afterwards, Simon went alone to Rebecca's grave. He repeatedly repented and apologized. Just when he was on the verge of breaking down, Joe walked over to him. He knew in his heart that no amount of blame could change this grief.
Sorry.
Simon's sincere guilt and Joe's understanding finally broke down the distance between them. Joe, increasingly curious about his biological father, decided to find the father he had never met. When he told Simon about his plan, Simon suddenly remembered an important clue. The baseball that had hit Rebecca had mysteriously disappeared on the day of the incident. Simon believed no one would take away such an ominous object unless they had some special connection to Rebecca. Soon, Christmas arrived, and the school organized a performance. Despite Simon's objections, the teacher insisted that he play the mouse. Her tough attitude made Simon even more resistant. On the day of the performance, Simon openly defied the teacher in front of everyone. His rebellion made her even angrier. She said the most hurtful words.
Oh, please. I'm gonna strangle him. I swear to God, I'm gonna strangle that little granite mouse. If it's the last thing I do with my bare hands, I'm gonna strangle him myself.
The priest, who was on the teacher's side, immediately called Simon into his office. He scolded him harshly and even confiscated his beloved baseball card.
You'll get these back after the pageant, if you can stop yourself from ruining our play. Understand?
Faced with the priest's harsh threats, Simon felt humiliated and helpless. He couldn't help but ask the pastor, "God made me look like this. He must have had a special plan for me, right?" But to his shock, the priest, acting as God's representative, flatly denied his faith.
It's wonderful to have faith, Simon, but let's not overdo it.
From that day on, Simon's faith shattered, and he fell ill. It wasn't until the day Joe was going to winter camp that Simon appeared, though it seemed like he hadn't recovered. He told Joe he was going to do something important. After the priest left, he planned to steal back his baseball card. Joe was surprised and praised his courage.
You better, okay?
Okay.
But when Simon climbed up to get the card, he uncovered an unknown secret. Behind a book was a baseball, the same one that had struck Rebecca. In that instant, Simon understood everything. He immediately called Rebecca's old friend, Charlie, to rush to winter camp. He had to tell Joe the truth, but by the time they arrived, the priest had already told Joe that he was his biological father. Joe couldn't accept this sudden truth. He never imagined that the father he had been searching for would turn out to be a bitter, mean man. At that moment, Joe finally understood why his mother had never revealed his father's identity. Because a priest who made an unmarried woman pregnant would be condemned by everyone. On the way back, Joe deliberately distanced himself from the priest. He couldn't accept this hypocritical father. But just when the school bus was going down a hill, the driver swerved to avoid a deer, causing the vehicle to lose control. The bus crashed into a river below. The water rushed in instantly, and the priest was knocked unconscious. The driver panicked and fled. The children in the bus began to panic. At this moment, Simon stood up without hesitation.
I'm not going to let anything happen to any of you. Understand?
He guided the children to evacuate in an orderly manner and instructed Joe to carry them to the shore. But when there was only one child left, the swift river current slammed the back door shut, and the water pressure made it impossible to open the door. But Simon didn't panic. He quickly checked the window and dove back into the water. He gave it his all to lift the child high, and finally, the window opened. But as the child was rescued, the bus started to sink rapidly. Joe dived in frantically to search, but all he could hear was the quiet of the water. Just when Joe was desperate, Simon's head appeared above the water. Joe and Charlie rushed to rescue him, but by then, Simon was unconscious. Joe also fainted from exhaustion. When Joe woke up in the hospital, he immediately went to find Simon. But as he reached the door, he discovered the girl Simon had always secretly loved was also there. She had been deeply moved by Simon's courage. She quietly kissed Simon on the cheek. When Simon woke up, his first concern was whether all the children were safe.
Are the kids okay?
Yeah.
At that moment, Simon realized, maybe this was the mission God had given him. He had held his breath underwater for 200 seconds, breaking all his personal records. It was the persistence to fight for life in the face of despair. But in the end, Simon couldn't survive this great injury. His life came to an untimely end. Though Simon's life was short, he passed through everyone's lives like a shooting star. He proved with his actions that real heroes are not defined by appearance but by inner strength and courage. 20 years later, Joe became a father and had his own children. He even named his child Simon, wanting to continue his best friend's legacy in another way. Simon's spirit lived on in his heart, never fading. This is a movie that doesn't rely on forced emotion but still brings tears to countless people. Simon's story tells us, every life has its special meaning. True strength is choosing kindness and bravery even when facing the cruelty of fate. A true hero is someone who, even in the darkness, is still willing to light a candle of hope for others.